Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul. In this video we're breaking down the end of Loki Season 2. Throughout this video we're going to be going through what happens in it and also our big theories for where things are going to go. Gonna assume if you've clicked on an ending explain video that you've seen the last episode, so there's no need for a spoiler alert, is there, mate? What I'm gonna do though is beg for a thumbs up, so if that snarky little comment there didn't put you off, then please hit it like it's your sexy variant. Technically it's self-love, and with that out the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Loki Season 2. Okay, so the entry ends with Loki sat on the throne at the end of time, controlling all the branches that he's able to hold in place. Finally, he's realised the purpose of ruling, and that it requires sacrifice and giving things up. This is something that he struggled with early on, and the MCU's actually shown he didn't understand it. All the way back in the first Avengers, he came down to Earth and had the people bowing down before him. However, as Thor said,
You think yourself above them.
Oh, yes.
And you miss the truth of ruling, brother.
And in the end, he didn't fully get it. Now, it's important to bear in mind that the Loki we follow in the show breaks out from this, though the one in the main timeline still shares the same beliefs. Even in Thor Dark World, they said,
All this because Loki desires a throne.
It is my birthright.
Which shows that he thought leadership could be given instead of being earned. In Time Theater 25, he also told Mobius that he wanted to be someone who was seen as a king. However, the finale was very much him going through the right path and discovering for himself that he has to give up that idea. He spends centuries learning Obi and Victor's knowledge and also puts himself out on the bridge instead of forcing the ladder. Huge shout out to the Cat Lego Mog who on our last video pointed out there's a lot of symbolism here. As Loki walks out, we see his robes and crown being formed, but there's something different about them this time around. Whereas in the past he's had nothing but golden finery, here he's got a busted up crown and very shabby clothes. This shows how his mentality's changed and that he no longer views leadership as being full of splendour. Another thing Cat Lego pointed out was what he did in Thor Ragnarok when we caught him pretending that he was Odin. Man was just lying around being fed grapes, not hitting the thumbs up, and it showed that he thought leadership was about self-satisfaction. When you think about it, the only reason that he even teamed up with Thanos was so that he could be given the planet to rule over. This is even shown to us during a What If episode in which we see the aftermath of his rule and how it leads to our downfall. Now though, he's given up it all, and this is so the TVA can build something better whilst he holds on to the threats. This doesn't fully mean that the war is averted, but in the end he's going to try and retain as many threats as he can hold. Now Loki taking over is something that's been foreshadowed quite a lot, and even in the opening shot of the season we got a clue towards this. This had Kang's face as a big statue, which Loki then ran in front of, covering it up. Shortly after, he then cracked his face, highlighting that the Empire was crumbling. We also then had the TVA symbol getting cracked on the floor before we finished with him destroying the Timekeeper mural. The mural itself had a tree in the middle, highlighting the tree that he'd create with the timelines. The timelines being represented as a tree is something that we've seen before, and this also showed up during Across the Spider-Verse. Now on top of this, I went back and started rewatching the series with my wife, and we got up to episode 3 before I hit this. At Victor Timely's show, you can also catch some trees in the painting behind him. This foreshadowing in the series is so good, and I also totally missed this line as well.
Because all science is fiction until it's fact!
Episode 5 was called Science Fiction, and that entire entry wrestled with the Who. He Who Remains was thought to be the best, but in the end it was Loki that took over it all. Ravonna also says something that pays off even more when we learn she was the one that killed the kid on the Black Sea mission.
After all those years of doing your dirty work, making the hard decisions you never had the nerve to make. After all.
He Who Remains in Season 1 was very much trying to shape a Loki variant into something where one of these eventually would take over from him. He stated that he paved the path, which is something he also brings up during this finale. Loki referred to He Who Remains as the devil.
What you came to kill the devil. Maybe he was.
But he clearly saw how him being in charge was actually a good thing in the long term. But this was represented during the time on the Ferris wheel where he protected Victor because in the end he understood the grand scheme of things. Loki himself somewhat represents a devil too, as he has a thorn crown and was tossed out of heaven. He realised that a god needed to be the one in control and brought this up during the Automat conversation.
Annihilating is easy. Hope is hard.
Whatever we do, we're playing God.
We are gods.
Loki even says there that they should just keep an eye on the Kang variants and try and let the rest of the universe have free will.
Bring him behind the curtain, show him all of this, and then just send him home.
This is what he basically does in the end, with the TVA watching over them all to make sure they don't rise up. However, they definitely will do at some point, and Loki can only protect the branches he's able to hold.
My variants are already out there.
I won't stop.
Doesn't matter.
Never stopped me before.
I know, champ.
This makes me think that He Who Remains was one of the ones that managed to escape, and though Loki tried to wipe them out, he wasn't able to do it. At the moment, we have a lot of people asking what's going to happen with Jonathan Majors, as he's about to enter a big controversial trial. I think they'll be like the TVA, right? We will keep an eye on Kang and see how Jonathan Majors' trial goes, and if he's found guilty, then hey, guess what? We managed to keep an eye on him, but if he's found not guilty, then oh god, oh no, the multiverse is collapsing! Now Loki may have become the god of stories, though I have other theories for later about how he could be a mix. However, in episode 3, when we encountered the Balder the Brave statue, it was a bit weird that Loki wasn't there. Potentially, he may have written himself out of history, which is in the aftermath of this ending. Now Loki became the perfect replacement for He Who Remains when we saw the actions that he took throughout the series. In episode 5, he recruited all the TVA members and very much brought them together to start things afresh. This in a way is like its own Ouroboros, which the entire season has been symbolical of. Is symbolical a word? Either way, Glorious Purpose was the name of the first entry in season 1, and we close out with this finale being called that as well.
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Everything in the end loops in its own cycle, creating this world tree that holds it all together. The world tree was first introduced in Phase 1 with both references in Thor and the first Captain America. Perhaps Loki even had it put back in time to have himself created, in the same way that the book was given to Victor that led to He Who Remains. I think imagery of the tree has been laced throughout the show, with the male shoot above OB looking exactly like one. Branches, pruning, all these are words used throughout the show that help to pull together this whole tree idea. On top of this, the bridge also resembled a Bifrost, which brings things full circle from the first Thor.
For you! For all of us!
For all of us.
No, Loki.
I had Loki having a transformative moment on a bridge, with it breaking up and then him going off the edge. I even think that the time stone being green could be linked to that, but let me know below if you disagree. Now if you're enjoying this video and want to support the channel, then please pick up our Loki inspired shirt. We've got that linked right below the video, and 'tis your glorious purpose to go and treat yourself. Although there's been rumblings of Doctor Doom lately, I actually think that Loki might be at the heart of Secret Wars. In the 2015 version, Doom sat at the center of the tree, controlling the multiverse, or what was left of it. That's very much what we see Loki doing here, with him being at the heart of all these different timelines. This also plays into the God of Stories arc, in which a younger Loki travelled to the end of time. Here he found an older version of himself controlling it all, and it was from here that he started to change his role as a villain. Loki had always been used as a stepping stone and someone that would propel others into greatness. Here Loki's sort of doing that as well, but he's gone above and beyond being angered by that happening. Now he sees his glorious purpose as carrying the burden so that his friends can live their lives free without pruning. However, Kang, he will still be out there, and inevitably, though he tries his best, he will still rise up and start a war. Loki and the TVA can only manage so much, and thus this is something that's no doubt coming. Now this could be what's happening with Ravonna, who we see down in the void after being pruned. He Who Remains did say that she was the one who helped win the war, and thus I think she's still a very important player. Either way, at this point, it seems like she's approached by Alioth, but I actually think that it might be someone else. Little peek behind the curtain here, and I'll tell you where I am when I'm at recording this. So this is going to be going out Saturday, but I am writing and recording it on Friday morning, right after posting our finale breakdown. Loads of thoughts went beyond the Easter eggs, and I thought I'd just put them out into this video. Now, members of the channel, they got to see this early, and you can get that by clicking the join button and paying just 99 cents a month. It's very, very cheap. Either way, though, I think that this might not be Alioth, and instead my theory now is that this is in fact Kang. Kang's colours are also purple too, and we know this is right beside the Pyramid and Sphinx. This variant was potentially shown during Quantumania, but either way, he's a very important figure. The Sphinx was what Kang used as a time ship as well, and I feel like Ramatuk got pruned along with his trophies. This means that he's now down there too, alongside what could be Mr. Griffin. Griffin was the one who started up Kang Enterprises, and he bought Avengers Tower, which we saw in the Void. Either way, I think they may destroy the TVA, which was foreshadowed by what we saw on the ground. In the end, she doesn't look afraid, and instead she looks ready for what's going to come. As for Mobius, he then returns home, but we see that there's a variant of him with his kids. Not sure what's going to happen here, will he kill him and do a Rick and Morty and take over his life? But I don't think that's going to happen, and I think he's going to go back to the TVA. All this really seems is that it's a hiatus, and that he's going to be needed for what's about to come. It's been reported that Owen Wilson is in Deadpool 3, so I feel like he's going to return back. The only person whose fate we don't really know is Sylvie's, and she might return to the McDonald's or go somewhere else. The whole point now though is that she has a choice, and I think she still has He Who Remains temporal device, so could easily go on the timeline anywhere. However, she can also go back to Loki, and I feel like that's what she's gonna end up having to do. Loki is now set at the end of time, and he's probably gonna need to step in when Kang gets too much. Now that could take us to the Avengers Prime story, in which Loki becomes the titular character. He ended up going to the end of time, where he became a god that looked over all. Learning of his losses in the other timelines, he then wiped out the Avengers wherever they beat him. However, this left the door open for more multiversal threats, and thus he then had to assemble a team to help fight this. This led to him getting Avengers throughout time, which could be the role that he has in Secret Wars. All in all, there's a lot to look forward to, and I really can't wait to see where things go from here. This was such a good way to end the show, and I think they could have even been like, they should have ended it after Loki Season 2. Either way, are you one of those people? Have you changed it from they should have ended it after Endgame to now Loki Season 2? Let me know below and drop a comment where you want to see things go. Please hit the thumbs up button again, sorry for asking all the time. And if you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society, then please click the join button. Now if you want something else to watch, you've got a full breakdown of the episode, which is linked on screen right now. We've also got a video for Captain Marvel, so definitely head over if you've been binging the MCU this weekend. But out of the way, huge thank you for sticking through the video. I've been your host Paul, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.